Hear me?
I can hear you, and we
Awesome.
are recording.
Hell
Sir,
yeah. What's up, dude?
how are you?
Man, I'm good.
I haven't talked to you. Well, actually, since the what was it, like a year ago, a year and a half ago, I bumped into you in Brooklyn, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Just like completely random.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I
But
forget where we were, but it was yeah, it was just happenstance.
yeah, I want to say it was like around Greenpoint or Williamsburg.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right. I fucking never leave these days unless I go on vacation or I'm like at Home Depot.
Dude, first of all, like congratulations.
Dude, thanks so much.
I think it is one of the coolest things when I meet people that are doing not just what they love, but then all of a sudden own what they love.
Yeah. Thanks so much, man. Yeah, it was a big step. I never even had any interest in owning a shop before, really. I was the kind of guy that just loved to draw and show up and tattoo and have everybody buy the supplies and have everybody kind of take care of all the logistics for me. And I don't know, a couple of key things kind of changed, and I was like, dude, let's do it. I feel like I've done it long enough. I know enough about it that I can run it myself and probably do it better than most.
That is amazing. Before we go into more details, can you do me a favor and reintroduce yourself?
Oh yeah. So my name is Seagh Mulligan, normal tattoos on Instagram, and I am the owner and tattooer of Wild Heart Tattoo Shop in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. I do tattoos, and nowadays I also do laser tattoo removal as well. So that's been a new development also. I got five other people that work here at the shop with me, and I'm right next to my wife's salon. So it works out great.
That is incredible. And stuff like that makes me, I don't know, there's nothing else that makes me happier than seeing other people just succeed and do well,
Well, thanks so much,
especially
dude.
especially good people like you.
I appreciate it, bud. That means a lot, dude. It's been a lot of work, so I do appreciate that very much.
No, I'm sure it's a lot of work because I mean I know a lot of people, including myself, who have tried to do like little businesses or little side gigs, and you might do one or two things here and do a little bit here and there, and then kind of like just let it die out, right? Like, all right, that was fun, that was new, that was exciting for a minute, but it's another thing to invest and have something as big as what you have right now.
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm hoping to just hang on to it. Obviously in New York City, you're always sort of at the whim of like a landlord and the macroeconomic environment that's like pretty hostile right now for service industry for sure. But yeah, it's totally true. It's definitely been a growing experience and pretty uncomfortable at times, but it's been dope, man. I'm just stoked that I don't have to answer to somebody else, like and I don't really like see myself as the boss. I really just see myself as another tattooer here, and I'm the owner. So and everybody gives me that respect, but I didn't really hire anybody that I have to like be the boss of, it's awesome. Like they
Well,
just
I,
love.
I do believe that you surround yourself with amazing people, right? Like I am a firm believer that your energy will attract the energy of others that are similar, right? And
Fully.
that's not just like a phony thing, but I mean your attitude, right? Like are you realistic? Are you a daydreamer? Are you pessimistic? Are you kind of like upset all the time? And those type of people always attract each other. So it makes sense that someone like you would attract, high talent. And I know I'm praising you a lot right here, but I literally had one of my best podcasts with you earlier.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
and
Well, I'm
that one
so glad
stuck
to hear
out
that.
with me a lot. So thank you for that.
Cool. Hell yeah, dude. Absolutely. I had so much fun doing it. Thanks for having me back. Like this kind of shit is so fun. I just like to run my mouth, dude. So like, hell yeah,
Hey
I'm
man,
all
you run
about
it in a good way, so I'm all for it. And this is why I told Zach Large that he wasn't completely on board here, but we're all gonna get matching Campus Edge tattoos.
I want to, man. Oh my God. I tell people about stories from Campus Edge all the time. When I actually look back on it, I'm like, oh my God, dude. That
Why
was,
would
that was so sketchy.
why would anyone choose to live there?
I didn't really. It's just what I could afford. But it was man, if I wasn't exposed to some extremely fringe elements of society in that place, about 50 feet from where I was getting my, like my education, my highest, like the highest education I got anyway. Like, oh my God, it's, I look back and I'm like, and I think a lot of people in our age bracket had the same experience where like college kind of exposed me to a lot of like kind of not great stuff, you know. I feel like some of that stuff kind of took me a while to um I don't know, like you kind of develop some habits in college that it take you a while to get away from sometimes. And I think a lot of people have that experience with college these days.
Yeah, I mean, normally college is your first time. I mean, obviously, if you're lucky enough, your first time away from home, um, you're on your own. You see the world without anyone holding your hand or telling you what to do, what not to do. And when you're lucky enough to only afford Campus Edge, like yourself, myself, Zach Large, Robert Osborne, Dave, David, what is his last name? Minnesota Dave Harrison, um, Joel, and I don't remember what Robbie's other friend was name was, but when you are lucky enough to really have no option, it really gives you the opportunity to like get exposed to something else that maybe you don't nobody would ever want to see it, but it's there and you
Yep.
can't escape it, right?
Great stories for sure. And a very interesting time in my life, you know.
Well, that's actually, if I remember right, that's where you first started doing tattoos and everything else, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh
So
yeah.
so I want to hear all about the journey of actually opening up this shop, right? Because all the time I talk with my friends and I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just open up a bar? Or why don't I open up a brewery? Or
Oh,
why
you
don't I
should.
open up whatever, you know?
Oh yeah.
And it's always like, where do you begin? Okay, you look at rent, you look at prices, you're like, I can't afford that. Where do I get a loan? How do I get money? How do I make sure that I grow? How do I make sure I can maintain? What about insurance? What about marketing? What about XYZ? And it just becomes so complicated that most people just don't do it.
You you know what the key is to not think about it. Uh Sign a lease on something that you can afford and it'll make you literally do the rest of it. I think, and I've said this a bunch of times about opening this shop, I never thought about it in its entirety.
Mm.
Not ever. Not until it was 95% done did I think about it in its entirety. And I think that that lack of planning actually helped me to not stress out about it. Um, I would have moments of what I called I would have moments of like pretty extreme anxiety where I would get overwhelmed and I started to call it everything the way I would refer to it is everything getting thrown into the cauldron. Like
Mm-hmm.
like I would wake up in a day and I would have a few tasks that I would want to achieve. And if I got those done, then I would move on to like the next thing. And it would weirdly happen on the days where I got a lot done, where I would be like getting ahead of myself. And then all of a sudden I would start thinking about like 10 of the tasks that I needed to accomplish, and they would all be getting thrown into this huge pot. And then it would get difficult for me to like um, do any of them in full, you know? So as long as I was just keeping to like 2 to 5 reasonable tasks a day, right? that's what helped me get through it. And it, I did it entirely with my own money. I didn't get a loan or anything. I had a decent amount of in my savings, and that's what allowed me to just go ahead and spend my own money on it. Um, and I just thought about it piece at a time instead of ever thinking about the the project in its entirety. And I think that really helped. That it weirdly enough, it's like a hallmark of having ADHD that you just like you're not able to plan that well, and you're like a little naturally myopic. But like honestly, it helped me out because I never once was like, oh my god, this is so much work. Like, oh, I just not even thinking about it.
That's very true to a lot of things in life.
Yes.
Because I remember learning how to skateboard a little bit, and obviously I'm not a true skateboarder like Zach Large, and I think you were a
He
skateboarder.
rips. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. Large would go out and land some shit that I'm like, yeah, in my fucking dream, right?
Yeah, I could skate a little bit, but I had a lot of friends that were way better than me, and so I definitely relate to that. And.
But if you really want to be a successful skateboarder, you just got to let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've noticed is here in New York, I've actually gone out and gone to a couple of skate parks and relearned kind of like the feel of it and all that other good stuff. But then I'm thinking, okay, if I push it too much, I might pull something. If I
Oh
push
yeah,
it too much, I might bust my ass. And if I bust my ass to a certain degree, I'm not going to be walking. I'm going to like break something. I'm not
yeah,
going to be able to go to work. It's going to be a pain in the dick getting in the subway in New York City when you can't walk.
pretty impossible, in fact. Yeah. Oh
Yeah, a
yeah.
lot of these stations don't have elevators. So it's like, all right, buddy, you either suck it up or you just don't get in the subway.
Yeah, yeah. Or you just kind of like, yeah, you got to skate within your boundaries.
Right.
Sure.
Versus someone who's like younger, which is usually the best time to learn when
Oh
you're
yeah.
not worried about those things. You just
Yep.
go out and just do it.
Oh yeah.
And this translates to kind of what you were talking about, right? Of just, you know what? I'm going to do it. Here we go. Step one, sign here. Okay, cool. There. Step two, now what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, take it easy, like step by step, blah, blah, blah. Instead of trying to plan everything out at once, because then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it becomes daunting.
I guess too, I already had a private studio. Like when I learned how to laser, I had to move out of the shop I was working at because, I needed a space of my own to do the removal stuff. And so I'd already been out on my own, like on an individual basis where it was just me in a room making tattoos pretty much. Um, so well, and then what ended up happening was the space, the storefront next to my wife's salon, which was previously a tattoo shop before.
Mm.
The guys moved out that were already there, and our landlords had the idea to rent it out to a bakery. And I was like, holy shit, that sounds terrible. I don't want to live next to a bakery. I doubt if anybody in my building would have wanted to live right near a bakery. I mean, they're in there at 3:30 in the morning clanging around. I'd imagine there would be some rats and some other shit floating around. It
Right.
just would be a very inconvenient business to live next to. And it came down to like, well, do I want to sign the lease on this space or do I want a bakery to move in here? Because so essentially, like my hands were pretty tied. Like I had to open a shop, you know, like it
Either
almost
that
wasn't.
or a bakery. I mean, that just like from a outsider's perspective, it's like, well, a bakery wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, I mean, I just think about the build out alone would be a nightmare to live next to.
Yeah.
So, and we live in the building too. So it absolutely was one of those things where I was like, oh yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to smell good at some point, but like if you know any bakers, man, they work basically a night shift.
Yeah.
So whatever's going on, they're in there at 2:30, 3 in the morning, starting the shift, doing the
Yep.
clanging around, doing all the prep, doing all the pounding away. It's like, man, living next to that would be terrible. And it was like, well, it's just time to do or die. Let's fucking let's just sign this lease and make sure that I got it so nobody else can get it, and we'll just go from there, you know.
That's incredible. That is incredible. And it's just one of
I'm
those,
lucky.
oh, absolutely, right? Like that's something that I'm a firm believer in of, there's a certain amount that you can do,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a certain amount that's completely out of your control.
Yep.
And situationally, you just find yourself in this opportunity. And
Hell yeah.
obviously, it takes courage and wits and whatever it may take to see an open door and actually walk through it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could have been like, man, I do not want this bakery. And that's the end of it.
No. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
then the bakery comes and then you're like, it's not so bad. Now I smell muffins in the morning. Right.
Right. Exactly. You know, I think too, it's just like I think me and my wife kind of have always had this vision of having our businesses next to each other too. We just kind of didn't think it would happen in New York. We kind of figured like, you know, in a handful of years we'd like buy a building somewhere and go do it somewhere else. But you know, it was also the opportunity to do something like that, and I was like, man, that's, you know, I never thought I'd open a shop and like have people working, have people working at a shop, you know, with me where they're like my employees or whatever. But I don't know, man. I feel like that's the easy part, you know. That's been the really chill part actually.
Well, now I really want to go and kind of like do a little photography, check the place out. I've actually, not only did I want to get matching tattoos, now it's going to be a very small one, right? It's going to be like
Yeah,
CEB, Campus Edge Brothers, or something
bro,
like
that's
that.
all I got space for. So
Yeah, well,
let's totally make it small.
that is true. I remember you said that you had like I don't know, 300 plus hours of tattoos on you.
Oh yeah, it's got to be even more by now. I mean, it's been a
Oh my
couple
god.
years. I've like finished my suit pretty much. I mean, I basically only have like half dollar size spots left. But now I got the laser, you know, so I've kind of lasered a few things down too. So I'm
Have you
banking some.
really?
Yeah, yeah. I got real into. I took a class on it. I did the whole course, and I bought a removal laser, which was a whole thing too.
What
Um,
is that like?
it
Because
sucks, bro.
really,
It's very painful. It feels like getting,
really.
yeah, it feels like getting hit with bacon grease out of a hot pan. You've
Oh,
ever
no, thank
like,
you.
yeah, it's rough. But it's also like magical in the opposite way of getting tattooed, where if you've had a tattoo for a long period of time, then you're like, I'm not really happy with this. And I had a lot, you know, I did a lot of tattoos on myself when I was learning. I I had a lot of like friends tattoo me that were not even sometimes not even tattooers. They're just like my friends, you know,
And
like
they're like, hey, can
horrible.
I try it?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, being
Jesus.
young and drunk and whatever, you're like, yeah, sure, you know, but you get a little older and you're like, well, and especially when I moved to New York and like people here, you know, every tattooer here is like, well, not every tattooer, but there are so many amazing tattooers in every bracket that do every conceivable kind of work. Like I have a few friends now that do like these like fine line tattoos and they can do like a really cool tiny tattoo on you, you know what I mean? And it's like, so it's made every bit of space valuable to me at this point
Mm.
where I'm like, I guess I could make room. And also, you know, having to practice with the laser, it is something you kind of have to like work on, you know, you have to, you know, you want to make sure you're proficient at it. And yeah, it's been a whole learning process, but it's great tech. I mean, it does hurt, but it'll take the fucker off, man. It'll take it off in a few sessions. So
What is okay? I don't know if you know this, but what is the science behind that? Because from my understanding, is a tattoo is ink getting
yep.
placed like what, like whatever measurement under your
Yeah.
skin, right? And so then it's stuck there.
So what the laser is it's a photoacoustic injury, and there's a few different kinds of removal lasers, but it's a photoacoustic injury that essentially uses light and sound to fragment the ink underneath your skin, right underneath. Yeah, it's like right underneath the basal layer of skin, which is in the second layer of skin underneath the epidermis is the top layer, and then you have the dermis, and like at the lower part of the dermis you have the basal layer where the skin cells are made, right? That's where your skin like the skin cells are like generated, right? And as they rise from the basal layer to the epidermis to the top layer, they become like harder and harder, so they kind of like harden and sort of form as that like hard outer layer of skin kind of like comes to the top, and then obviously it flakes off and regenerates and blah blah blah. But if you're doing a tattoo properly, and I learned this while I was lasering, actually, like while I was learning to laser, I learned all these terms and all this actual science behind it. So ideally, when you're tattooing somebody, you want to go right underneath the basal layer of that the second down layer of skin tissue. So that way you're not going into the subcutaneous fat underneath, you're going right underneath where the skin cells are made, right? So when you're getting lasered, you're hitting that ink underneath the basal layer with a super fast, super concentrated beam of light that also is accompanied by like a popping noise. And that photoacoustic injury will fragment the ink so that your like lymphatic system and your metabolic processes can carry the ink, basically through your metabolism, and you essentially pee it out.
What?
Yeah, so you don't pee it out. I mean, you wouldn't notice it. It wouldn't be like peeing
Right.
black
It's not.
or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever, but it processes your T cells, your lymphocytes carry the ink out after it's been fragmented. So in effect, the laser just creates the opportunity for your immune system to wash the tattoo out, right?
That is wild.
Yeah, it's a crazy process, and it's that's why like when people are getting lasered, I tell them like, you want to drink a bunch of water. You probably don't want to drink alcohol like every single night, and you kind of want to like take care of yourself and eat right. Like there's a part of it that involves your immune system, so you want to make sure that your immune system is strong while these processes are happening.
And you said that it takes a couple of sessions, right?
Yep, can take a lot of sessions actually. I mean, you ideally you want to go slow and low so you're not doing any damage to that
Right.
epidermis and you're not scarring people. Now it's kind of an unpredictable process. It's like, it can blister up and scab over, and it can get a little scarred, and it's something you want to be very careful with. So we like I like to proceed with caution. You type somebody's skin, based on the Fitzpatrick scale, which is, it's sort of it's a funny conversation to have with people first thing, because it's basically like, how dark's your skin? Like where do you fall on this scale of like one, which is like Northern European, extremely white, to like six, which is like extremely black, like you know,
As dark as they
yeah,
get.
as dark as it gets. And so I have an ND YAG laser, which is kind of it's a little older technology, but it's very effective on all skin tones. You just have to make sure that you're being very careful with it. Um,
So
yeah,
if somebody walks in with a tattoo and they're saying, let's pretend, I don't know, like a playing card, right? Like a regular, poker deck
yep.
of card size tattoo. Um, and they say I need it removed. How long would that process take? And would you be recommending for them to drink water and eat healthy for how long of a period?
When it's healing, like when it's like running the risk of blistering up, like that first 3, 4, 5 days. I mean, ultimately, the better you take care of yourself, the better it's going to work in general, much like healing a tattoo. I mean, the healing process is kind of the same, right? Like, you do some trauma to the skin, and then you want to keep it clean and keep it moisturized for like the next 5 days or a week while it's healing, and it actually has like kind of the same aftercare you want to use.
Are you telling me that I should not have drank alcohol after I gotten a tattoo?
Oh, I mean, no, you can.
I was like, man, I fucked up then.
No, honestly, that's when it's the best time to drink alcohol. I mean, in my opinion. um, no, but really it's more a thing for the laser. It's something I advise people sort of, but people do what they do. And ultimately, like, I don't know, I got plenty of laser sessions where I was like drinking while I was getting lasered. And then we went out partying all day afterward. And then, it takes a month to heal and whatever. Like it was, dude, there's been times in the last decade where I haven't necessarily been taking the greatest care of myself, and so these things take a long time to heal. But you just have varying degrees of healing based on how healthy you are in general. And so when I
Yeah, and
was drinking heavy and smoking cigs and doing blow and going crazy, like I would go get lasered, and it would take a long time to heal. And now that I'm much more tame, like if I laser myself, it's usually it'll be pretty much fully healed in about 2 weeks.
that is crazy.
Yep.
How you treat your body really affects everything.
It's so, it's insane the night and day. Like, and now I don't drink at all or smoke. I don't do anything anymore. And I really got a handle on all my habits like in the past, like probably almost 2 years. And it's crazy to see that like now when I get tattooed, it heals in 5 days.
Hmm.
If I'm injured, I dislocated my shoulder not too long ago, and like it hurt, but I went to the orthopedic surgeon at about a month afterward, and they were like, wow, this is, you're pretty it's pretty awesome that you have the range of motion that you have after just this short amount of time. I mean, shoulder injuries can be pretty hard to heal. And so, the orthopedic surgeon was like pretty impressed that I was able to, move around the way I was, even though I had like pretty severely dislocated my shoulder like not too long ago. Yeah, you just heal faster. I'm kind of the healthiest I've been like probably since high school. So yeah, that's been kind of a new development too, I
Well,
would say.
I congratulate you on that as well, because
Thanks.
it is a difficult line to walk when it
Yep.
comes to your health.
Yep.
Actually showed someone who isn't from this country what a Twinkie was, and they were like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, a
Like
Twinkie is this bread made of sugar with this cream inside made of sugar, and you just eat it." And they're like, "Why?"
yeah, oh my God.
And
Yeah.
yet we're surrounded by that everywhere we go.
Oh yeah. You
And
can't eat
then
that
and then you
shit.
add the cigarettes, you add any sort of smoking, any sort of drug, whether it be as light as coffee or as heavy as, you know, crack cocaine,
Yep.
you pick your poison, and some will really fuck you up, and then some will just kind of alter your mood a little bit.
Oh
But
yeah.
we're all surrounded by that, right?
Oh, and we go the heart, if you like, I mean, I just started traveling to other countries, and you become uniquely aware that like everything we do in America, whether it's like our work habits or every single thing we do it on 10.
Yeah.
you know the unhealthy food is on 10, the fucking booze is on 10, the drugs is on 10, like everything. um
Well, if you're not first, you're last, right?
Hell yeah, I mean that's the American way, just going off.
That's what Ricky Bobby told me in Talladega Nights. So that's my motto.
Truly, it's a fact, it's how we treat it. It's
Yeah.
that is the American way.
No, but yeah, I mean, back to the health thing, right? Like, there is no single right way, but there is definitely a wrong way, right?
Oh yeah.
And my preference is to try and eat as much meat as I can, as the less sugar, the less bread, the less everything, the better.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do stuff like that for like a week straight, and then obviously I'll do a weekend where I just, eat whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
then as soon as I get back into that clean diet, I mean, I can go out drinking and the next day I recover so much quicker because my
Oh
body's
yeah,
already in a good place.
totally.
Versus a week straight of pizza, fried chicken, hamburgers. I go out one night drinking and the next day I'm like struggling
Oh yeah,
because your body is just
absolutely.
not there to recover.
Oh yeah, and it'll show in all kinds of ways, you know. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, oddly enough, like I got pretty sick. I kind of let my drinking habits like get a little out of hand. And I always kind of drank a lot. I think it's something that I kind of learned from my family, watching their drinking habits and stuff.
Mm.
But you know, uh when it was finally time for me to quit, I actually had done a fair amount of damage to my pancreas, and I went into the doctor and I got some blood work done, and it came back, and like the doctor was like shocked, like I'd never seen a doctor react that way to anything. And every level was like 5 times what it's supposed to be, my like
Jesus.
cholesterol, my glucose, like everything, you know like your bad cholesterol is supposed to be like kind of less than 100. Mine
Mm-hmm.
was like 650 or something like
Oh
that.
my God.
It was nuts. And they were like, okay, how do you feel? And I was like, oh, I feel fine. Like I had actually just gotten back from a guest spot, and I
Are
had
you
been like,
conscious?
yeah. And I was kind of, I was pretty used to feeling a little like hungover and stuff because I drank most nights and I was doing a fair amount of coke and smoking. And, you're not making great diet decisions when you're doing all
Right.
that either. So all that stuff
Right.
kind of goes hand in hand, and just working too much, not exercising, so it got to the point where my levels were crazy. My blood pressure was like 200 over 150 all the time. It was, but I was also working like I'd be working like 7 days a week for months on end, and like just only, going out every single night afterward. And so, it kind of like the doctor's reaction pretty much was like, well, if you were like it's kind of crazy you're up and walking around. Like I would send you to the hospital if you weren't sitting here in front of me telling me that you feel fine. I need you to go get these meds right now. And they put me on like 4 or 5 different prescription meds immediately. They put me on like blood pressure meds and a statin and all this other bullshit that like made me feel even worse. But I quit that day. I quit everything that day. The doctor's reaction to like my levels and my blood pressure was that they were like, you can have a stroke any minute, dude. Like with how high your blood pressure is in conjunction with all these other like things we're seeing in your blood work, like it's like they're like it's clear that your pancreas isn't functioning properly, so essentially you have like unprocessed food in your blood, you know
That is
um
wild.
it was fucked up, dude. It was really scary. It was a super scary doctor visit. And the lady hit me with like no poker face. She wasn't chill about it at all. Like she looked like she was about to start crying or some shit. And I was like, oh fuck. Like I've never seen a doctor act like this. I'm gonna quit. And I just quit everything that day. I still smoked weed for a little while, and then like recently I quit that too because I was like, you know, weed's fine, but it's like, you do it for 20 years, you got about everything you're gonna get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me ask a question then. Do you do gummies?
No, no, I've been staying just like pretty straight edge clean, like really without, like kind of just feeling good. Like I don't know. I think I spent so much time fucked up that like, you know, you get
Yeah.
to the point
Yeah.
where it's like, all right, like, you might have like a rad night with your homies where you like, you drink like 15 beers or something, and you're like back and forth outside at the bar smoking cigarettes. Somebody gets a bag of blow. You guys stay up all night. You close the bar down, and then like you get 4 hours of sleep, and then your buddy calls you, and I'm like, oh, we're going to the beach, and you just start drinking again, and it's like that's a good time. But like, you do that 40 times, like you're not gonna remake that super rad night,
Yeah.
whatever. Like you're only gonna have that night like so many times, and it gets to the point where it's like, fuck, man, like it's kind of time to do something else. Like
a hundred percent.
we spend enough time at the bar and drinking at the beach and doing drugs and fucking, spend enough time like fist pumping, going crazy, fucking partying, and it's like you do it enough times. I mean, shit, I'm 36. Like I'm getting to the point where it's like, damn, like what else we got? Like, I don't know. Like, I started playing video games now. Like, I'm like, I like this a lot. I never really did this. This is dope. Like,
This is new.
yeah, this is new to me and it's super chill and like not a hazard to my health. And it's like a fun way to absorb a story. And, I stay in. I spend $60 on a video game. I get fucking hundreds of hours of, like whatever. I'm playing Red Dead right now. And I mean, I'm like a few years late to the game or whatever, but I mean, yeah, you get a lot of satisfaction out of that $60 purchase.
Yeah, and I think that there's who was I talking to? I was talking to someone about that. So, me personally, this summer has been probably the cheapest summer I've had in years. And simply because I didn't go out all the time.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much money you can save
Oh
when you're
yeah.
not going out like hard. Like it's one thing to go out and have a drink or two with a buddy. It's
Yeah.
another thing to stay out till 3, 4 in the morning and be like, oh, well, we only went to like 3 or 4 bars, right? Oh shit, I spent $60 at each bar.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck, right?
Oh yeah, dude, for sure. And like yeah, and then there's all the extras that come along with it too, like you go out and like then you got to order pizza at the end of the night or like for
Oh,
some reason
a 100%.
when I was drinking all the time, for some reason I was like kind of like weirdly always needed something. Like I needed like, oh, I gotta go get a bag of chips. I gotta go get a soda. I gotta go get cigs. I gotta go to the store, like or like weirdly materialistic, like, oh, we need to go buy jewelry. Like I want to watch, like I need to buy a chain. Like like weirdly I always had all these things I wanted. And then like I sobered up and you're like, shit, I don't want any of that. Like I don't need to go to the store. What I need to go to the store for, Like oddly enough, like it just made me want for less in general. Like I just feel, I don't know. I weirdly feel like freedom from desire these days. It's kind of funny. I'm like, fuck, I want to be in the woods, man. you know?
I mean, again, I already said it, but congrats on this version of you because it sounds awesome.
Thanks, bro. Thank you. Yeah, it's like it was not, after like so many years of partying, it was not hard. It's not been hard to embrace. It's been like pretty it's strange to see some of my friends going through recovery and like it was easy for me, man.
I'll tell you what, last year, maybe it was like a year and a half ago, I went to go visit my original roommate from Campus Edge,
Mm-hmm.
um, Dave Harrison, Minnesota Dave, and he had gone to recovery maybe 2, 3 times
Yeah.
and just couldn't beat it. Like he just had to drink.
Wow.
And this was a year and a half ago when I saw him. It was the first time I had seen him in probably 10-ish years.
Mm-hmm.
I get there and immediately he's like, you want a shot? And I'm like, oh, well, yeah. I mean, it's the first night I'm here. I haven't seen you in forever. Yeah, let's drink it up, right? Like this is nostalgic for me, right?
No, yeah.
This is incredible. And then the next morning, he wakes up. We're both like hung over, and he's like, "You want a shot?" And I'm like, "Well, not really, but I mean, we can do something else." And he's like, "Well, let's just have one drink and then we'll go." And next thing I know, I'm literally fighting him because he doesn't want to stop drinking.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where we had to cancel plans, our evening plans, because he got so drunk. I'm like, dude, you're not driving. And he's like, no, 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 no. I drive like this all the time. And I'm
Whew.
just like, dude, what is wrong with you? And eventually he passed out. And I never told him this. And if he listens to this, Dave, I'm sorry, but I had to do it. I saw that he had like a whole bottle, like literally like a gallon of Jameson in his like above his fridge. I grabbed it and I poured it all out.
No
Like
shit.
I was just like, I'm a firm believer that you don't waste alcohol, but only if it's like a cool thing. And when you're dependent on that shit, that's far from cool.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
I dumped that shit out. And then the next day he was like, man, I can't like, did you take my Jameson? I'm like, what Jameson? He was so gone, so out of it, and so desperate that he was just like scratching his head, like, what the fuck is happening? And I'm like, this is like as bad as it gets. And when I left, I literally told him, I was like, dude, he's not a father, but he's essentially helping raise a child. And I told him, I was like, dude, like you talk about this child all the time. I know you care about that child, but I guarantee you that in 5 years, you're not going to be there anymore if you keep going down this route.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know what happened after that, but as far as I know, he's gone over a year without drinking.
That's excellent.
And I'm like, thank God, dude, because this guy was just plain out ruining everything in his
Yeah.
world just so he could like get drunk.
And to do that, I like weirdly I got sick before it ever got to that point with me because I was never a during the day kind of guy. I was like a, binge drinker at night kind of dude. But I think I drank significantly more than most of my friends and most of my coworkers really realized. I mean, I'd be drinking, at least a six pack and some whiskey every night, you know, which is a lot of booze
That is a lot.
ultimately. And, I think I did that. I probably did that from the time I was like 19 years old, whenever I got a fake, and I'd never wake up. See, and that's the thing too, is I've got an immaculate record. I've never been ejected from a bar. I'm not really a blackout kind of dude. Like I'd get tired or I'd get kind of like sick to my stomach and throw up before it really ever got to that point. And booze never really changed my personality. It just makes me a little giggly. It makes me fun. It makes me talk a little more than I already talk, which is
Yep.
a kind of oh, it's a lot of talking ultimately. But it never really flipped a switch in me, and I'd have a lot of people, I classically, I was that dude at the bar where I'd be like, damn, dudes, I'm drunk. I got to go home. And people would be like, you're drunk. You seem fine, man. You don't even act drunk at all, like, but I think that the frequency with which I was drinking, when you're drinking a six pack or a 12 pack about every night, or 8 beers and some whiskey, and then smoking a few cigs or whatever that is, like that's a hell of a lot of booze. And over 20 years that I make it, like I
That
look
adds
back
up.
on it, it adds up, dude, and it'll do something, I didn't really even know what my pancreas did.
I
um,
still don't know what it does.
it does a lot of shit, and you want to make sure that motherfucker works. turns out that's turns out that's the basics of it. It's a series of ducts, and it makes insulin, right? It's the thing that determines whether or not you can break down sugars in your
Mm,
bloodstream and shit like that. So, but like let's say it makes insulin, but it also makes like 100 other, you know, biological chemicals like insulin. So it does a lot, and you want it to work. And luckily, like they diagnosed me with pancreatitis, but um it ended up being acute and not chronic. Once I started taking care of myself,
yeah.
it remedied itself on its own. And now I feel pretty good. Like blood pressure's down, all my blood work is normal. My doctor's like, you're like a success story pretty much of sobriety. But like I said, like good on your buddy for getting clean, because a lot of people, they do have like a really hard road with that shit. And
Yep.
it's um like I said, I see people go back, and I had quit drinking a few times and been sober for some period of months, which is also a hallmark of alcoholism. If you like, if you take regular breaks from it, people will be like, no, I'm good because I can take a break. And I didn't drink for 3 months here and there. It's actually a sign of alcoholism.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough, is like taking these like prolonged breaks from it and then getting back into it. Um, but also, I think that I had like, I think I knew enough to know from the periods that I had quit drinking that that was the thing that I needed to do. Like let's say, like I've been on like about a 10-year long journey of conscious self improvement, right? And
Mm-hmm.
part of that was moving to New York and making good habits and surrounding myself with other tattooers that were better than me so I could learn from them. And like, I met my wife up here and like she's been like changed my life and all that. And so like, but I was acutely aware of like, okay, I'm not going to be able to level up to my next level of self-improvement unless I quit drinking, right? And so I knew that when I quit drinking, it would do great things for me, And in fact, I feel like there's been a backlog of accomplishments that like were like if I'd have quit drinking before, like I might have opened a shop earlier, you know what I mean? But like
Yep.
all of a sudden, like I quit drinking, and then like bam, 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 all these new good things happen to me, and sobriety has been the foundation for these new levels and these new steps of like rad shit that like I'm like fucking I'm like so happy about, and I'm so proud of myself for. And like now that I've built some stuff on that foundation, I can't lose it. Like I would never go back, like I could never drink again, like it just shit's going so good. Like why would I ever give any of that up?
Yeah, I admire people like you because you know both sides now.
Yes.
It's not it's not like an out like how can I phrase this? Sometimes when you talk to people and you say, "Hey, I have a problem with this or whatever," they're just like, "Well, just stop."
Yeah.
Like, duh. Like if it's bad for you, just stop, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or or like people that with depression, right? Like, "Oh, hey, well, it's not that bad, you know? Like cheer up."
Right.
Well, you don't know it, right?
Yeah.
And every time I meet people who have either beaten depression, beaten, whether it's alcoholism or an eating disorder, and I mean, here in New York, you meet a little bit of everything, man.
Oh yeah.
And
Absolutely, dude.
and it's crazy to me how much stuff is out there. Um, but I met someone who at first was like, "Oh yeah, I don't drink," and I was like, "Oh, that's cool, right? Like nobody has to drink."
Hmm.
And I knew her for a couple of months, and it was always just known that she just doesn't drink, right? And it's fine. And then one day she opened up and was like, "Yeah, like let me tell you the story of why I don't drink." And it was one of those stories of like she could be home alone, she could be with friends, she could be in the day, at night, whenever. If there was a bottle available, she'd be drinking.
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh, I never pictured you as anyone who would be able to drink, right?" And she was like, "No, no, no. Like I had a real drinking problem." I was like, "Wow."
Hmm.
Um, but just being able to understand both sides, and she's like, "I know what I like and I know who I am and what my pitfalls are." It lets me kind of go in the right direction.
Yep.
And I love that, right? Like someone like me who enjoys a good drink, but only socially, right? Like
Yep.
if I don't have anyone to enjoy the moment with, then what's the fucking point, right? Like,
And that is a person without a problem. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
what you're describing is like that's like unknown to me, right? Like if I would just get a six pack on the way home from anything just as a habit and be sitting in front of the TV, or like stand up drawing tattoos for the next day, drinking beers, like I just like the way it felt on my brain. I got a
mhm,
little bit of sort of low level anxiety, and I think that that was a way that I could kind of like self medicate my anxiety and also kind of self medicate ADHD too, because it'll kind of like
yeah,
put you in this with it. That sounds weird, right? That you would medicate ADHD with alcohol, but in a weird way, like it kind of depressant, like sort of takes you down just a peg. So you're like,
yeah.
all
No,
right,
I completely get that.
yeah.
I
But if
remember.
you
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
when if like you said, like if you're like, oh, I'm only drinking if I'm gonna go out to meet the buddy and we're gonna have a couple beers and then we'll split, and then I'm not gonna like get a six pack or a bottle of liquor on the way home and drink more at home. Why would I do that? Like that's awesome. Like that's a person who should enjoy alcohol because you know how to enjoy it responsibly.
Right, right. No, but I completely get what you're saying though. When you drink something to kind of help you concentrate and kind of like put you in a little zone that says, you know what, I can focus on this. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's actually what I do with coffee.
Oh
Like if
yeah.
I need to focus on something, all right, where can I put my energy towards? Okay, this drink, I drink really fast, but coffee's hot. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna drink that sucker very quick, right?
Yep.
And that's also why in the office I also get seltzer water because I can't
Oh,
chug carbonated water. I mean, I probably could, but it'll hurt.
crush the seltzers these days. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So me having the energy to kind of like reach for that drink, sip, put it back, lets me put my other energy towards whatever task I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like an outlet. Um no, but that makes sense and that resonates with me. Um but again, to all the people out there who have battled stuff like this or battling stuff like this, I mean, hearing your story has to be just one of those things that's like, I don't know, like, how can you not be happy with that? And how could you not like admire stuff like that to everyone, right? Not just you, but everyone who has kind of faced it and is facing it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like I'm an example of like change your behavior, change your life. Right? Like people think that they can change their lives and that there's something you're discontented with about the way your life's going. You're not going to be able to alter that without an alteration in your behaviors or your habits, and that's just something that I was able to internalize and like be like, all right, well, this is what needs to happen, so let's just do it, and it's done wonders. I'm the happiest I've ever been, and it's like, yeah, it's been good, man. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about that because the shop couldn't happen without that clarity of mind. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like that's also wrapped up within the like the process of opening the shop was my getting sober.
Well, I congratulate you on the shot. I congratulate you on your health.
Thanks,
And
bud.
honestly, like part of the reason that you were probably one of my favorite guests ever is everything that you said kind of like matched how I felt, but you were able to articulate it so much better. And one of my favorite things that you said and that I've repeated a million times, and obviously I butchered it up a billion times, but if I took note from our podcast when you say you kick out the middle.
Yes.
And like I'm like, whoa, that's literally the best way I've ever heard it be described.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, like focusing on what you can control and what is in front of you, and focusing on that really does just make life so much easier and better, and
Hell yeah.
accepting that at the same time the universe is ever expanding and we are on a rock floating through space going 1,000 miles per hour.
Oh yeah.
So everything else in between, while you can pay attention and be slightly educated on the news, why waste energy there, right?
Oh my God. It's now more than ever. Kicking out the middle is so important because the news is a bunch of bullshit. Our fucking our politics is just like more pro wrestling than ever. And our intelligence community, like the let's say the world like intelligence community is so intertwined with our media now
Oh
that like
yeah.
everything is like a psyop and you can just see it. Like it's just
Yeah.
like almost out in the open now where you're just like, man, if anybody believes that this is really true, I don't know what to say to them. Like if you're like watching certain things in our news happen and you're like, oh wow, like that's real. Like I just am like, oh my fucking God, dude, no. Like they're just it's not, okay?
Yeah.
Like it's sheesh. But exactly. Don't worry about it, kick out the middle and zoom out. Like just stay zoomed out, and that's the way to live. Either what's right in front of you, or the universe at large, and that's it. Because everything in the middle is just noise. It's just a bunch of noise. And post COVID, like oh my God, now more than ever, it's just noisy, so noisy.
Yeah. I mean, everything you said, I'm like, yeah, that's literally what I try to do, but I don't know how to put it into words. And when I put it into words, people are like, man, you're dumb. But
No.
when you articulated it, I was like, yes, finally, I have a way to kind of like express it a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. You ever seen that movie I Heart Huckabees?
I have not.
I think that's a movie full of like philosophical stuff and like really great. It's really funny too. Like if you've never seen it, I highly recommend it. And I think that's kind of where I got the like kick out the not that's like one of the things that introduced me to the concept of like kick out the middle,
Mm,
because there's like you just have to watch the movie, but they talk about that. They're like, forget about this economy, forget about our military, forget about, like just whatever, like all these like, political systems that like it's just noise inside your head, and like, oh, you just ultimately don't have control over it, I'm sort of, as always, like sort of center left kind of, and like shit, you can vote and you can pay your taxes and then you can complain all you want. That's how I feel about it. I like to clown our politicians and our government, and I feel like I have the right to do so because I vote and I pay my taxes and I can say whatever I want about these motherfuckers.
yeah, not only that, but you're lucky enough to be in this country where you can do that,
You
right?
can do that. Exactly.
I'm trying to
Um,
get this guy back on the podcast. Um, he actually got kicked out of, I want to say Nepal,
oh,
because he was saying some stuff on Twitter, and the government there was like, you either get the fuck out or you go to prison for life.
oh, wow.
And it was something like that.
Yeah, they
Obviously
don't
he,
play.
yeah, I mean, obviously he can tell the real details here because I might be even exaggerating, but they basically kicked him out of the country.
Damn.
Um, and here, I mean, like him or not, you've got politicians like Donald J. Trump doing stand up at political rallies, trashing Joe Biden.
Dude.
And it's just like the complete opposite of what most other countries would allow.
Oh my God. I mean, like ultimately, I think I've just decided that, I just always have kind of voted left because I feel like that's just the damage control party, you know, and
It is. That's literally
pre-
what it is.
pretty just not, you know, I'm pretty anti-Trump just because he's like an asshole. It's not really, you know, you know, and there's plenty of stuff that I think, you know, classically are things that come from conservative politics where I'm like, hey, that makes sense to me, you know, like you don't want to overdo it on entitlements. You don't want the federal government to like tax people until they're fucking poor. There's
Yeah.
plenty of shit on the conservative side of the aisle that I'm like, well, that makes sense to me. But then when it gets to fucking Trump and MAGA shit, and it's like all this bigotry and all this other stuff that gets attached, I'm like, I'm sorry, like I'm not going to get behind it. And ultimately, I'd rather have a quiet old man that leaves us the fuck alone as president than some screaming maniac who's saying he wants to have a nuclear showdown with North Korea every fucking day on Twitter. I'm like, it just wears my fucking nerves out, dude. You know? Uh, but that said, you know, both sides are enormously crooked. And, you know, I believe firmly that, you know, most of these politicians and all these folks, they screw us over and they screw over the little guy and then they all go eat dinner together. I don't really
A
think,
100%.
you know,
A
I
hundred
don't,
percent.
I really think it's a game of division. They like to divide us into these, you know, either by political affiliation or by race or by any number of means to like divide
Yep.
people. But really, ultimately, that's just in the interest of keeping these folks. You know, you know, it's just so that these folks can keep their power. You know, just like I firmly believe that, like I don't know, probably the cancer research people are probably going golfing with the dudes from the cigarette companies. You
Yeah.
know, one hand feeds the other. It's and then, you know, we get screwed over. So the key is to just enjoy your life and try not to fall victim to these systems that are trying to prey on you and making a game of, you know, human life. You want to just make sure that like, hey, you know, pay your taxes, but don't get stuck working a job you hate for the man for your entire fucking life. You know, make sure that you find a way to enjoy yourself no matter what the fuck you're doing, you know? You got to live for yourself and you can't look to the government. You know, like I feel like, and especially around 2020, there was this whole thing of like, oh, you know, the government should be doing this to protect us and this. And it's like, I don't know if folks ever read history, but like classically, the government will just kind of put a boot on your face.
Yeah.
They don't really do that. They kind of just come through and fuck you up, right? Much like
Yeah.
cops, much like all this shit. So like, I don't know, like kind of, you know, enjoy yourself, pay your taxes, and stay the fuck out of the eye of the government. And
Yeah.
don't wear a hat with a politician's name on it. Just don't.
Yeah.
Either on either side, I think like don't think that any of these people really have your best interest at mind. And I'm sure I said like a lot of the same stuff on our last podcast. Um,
You're allowed to
but
say whatever you want.
you know, I still feel very much all these same ways. And you know, but you know, I hope people don't get caught up in it, and I hope people don't get caught up in all the fear porn and fear mongering shit that goes on with our media.
Yeah, it's pretty
It's
disgusting, but
Yeah, it's
what are you gonna do
just
about it?
made exactly. Just ignore it. Fucking ignore it to the best of your ability, you know. My
A
buddy
hundred
Joe
percent.
that works with me, I feel like I forget exactly what he said. He's like, "Oh man, politicians are just, you know, people that were too ugly to be actors." And I'm like, "God damn it, that's so fun. That's so fucking real, dude." I was
Yeah,
like, that's so astute, bro.
it's it's pretty sad, and it's look, I think it's human nature to want to like attach yourself to something. And for the longest time, it was like religion, right?
Oh
This
yeah.
religion, that religion, I'm the truth, you're the wrong, blah, 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 killing, murder, taking over territory, taking away rights, whatever it may be. It was like heavily religious based, right?
Oh yeah.
Now it's, at least here in this country at this moment, it's political. Oh,
Yeah.
well, I'm on the left, so I'm right. And if you're on the right, then you're wrong. And, I'm going to take away your right to do this, or you don't take away my right because of that. And it's all like literally 90% based off left versus right and right versus left.
Yeah.
And it's
Which
like, look, I've met plenty of people on both sides and in the middle. And at the end of the day, we all just want to sit down and eat a healthy meal and be happy.
fucking A, dude. And
That's
it's
all
like
it
that
is.
it just really, and if you're like a reasonable person, those, like I was talking with my wife about like a couple we met at a bar in Louisiana like a couple years ago. We were still drinking, and I think we ended up at some pizza spot, and we ended up hanging out with this other couple for hours and hours. And by the end of it, they're like, somehow it came up that they were like, like Republicans, Trump people, and blah blah blah. But like, it just wasn't a thing we even talked about.
Yeah.
And like at the
Yeah.
end of it, we're like, no, they're good folks. Like
Yeah.
these people were fucking cool, and like, yeah, they probably like, I don't know, they probably feel like their side is the damage control side.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they're like, I don't fucking like the guy that much, but whatever, you got to vote for whatever. We don't have
Right.
to
I've
agree.
never met a Democrat who's like, yeah, I'm super stoked about Biden. I don't
No, I
think they
mean,
exist.
no, I think it's all pretty
It's damage control, like you said.
totally, totally. Yeah, I he said some things that I think are pretty hilarious. Definitely like the thing where he was just like, forget what he said. I feel like it was like around the time Putin was throwing around all those like kind of nuclear threats, sort of offhanded, and Biden just kind of said like with the stone face, he was like, "Well, I guess we'll just have Armageddon then," which is essentially just a really great way of saying like, "Oh, well, you want to talk nukes? Well, we'll nuke the whole fucking world, bro."
Yeah.
Like
Ain't nobody
he
gonna win that
essentially just
one.
yeah, he just kind of essentially gave the most like casual overarching threat that you could ever offer up. Just with like, just with like a smile on his face. And I was like, oh my God, this dude's a fucking psycho. But at the same time, like, holy shit, dude, this is hilarious.
And
He
that's the
just,
guy running the country.
yeah, dude, like, oh, well, I'll just cause Armageddon then, I suppose, like, cool. Okay. Like, I
uh,
don't know, man, whatever. Uh,
it's a
yeah.
beautiful world that we live in. And I think we are all very lucky to be aware of it, right? Like,
Oh yeah, it's shit is fine, and I forget what is. There's some Duncan Trussell quote that I really loved. It was like I saw it on a meme. I'm not even sure if he said it, but it was like somewhere there's a phoneless idiot sitting by a river enjoying himself, completely unaware of how afraid he's supposed to be of everything and everyone. And I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome.
that is hilarious. I do love me some Duncan.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I love that cartoon they put out
Oh
on that.
yeah.
That
I
shit
think
was
they only did
awesome.
one season, but
Oh, I know. I could easily do another. I mean, I'm sure it took so much work. Like
yeah.
it that was awesome. That
The
was so
first
cool.
I want to say the first two episodes were my favorite. After
Oh
that it
yeah.
was like hit or miss, but yeah, those first two were like, okay.
That
Okay,
kind of
I
zoom
appreciate this.
totally. It's that kind of zoomed out thinking, like and really like really really for all the fear porn and that's floating around out there, and if people decide to get whipped up about it, that's very much of a shame, because you can watch any movie you want right now, you can listen to like any song, you can we have so much at our disposal. I mean, I flew to Italy and it took 7 hours to get to like a beautiful place I'd never seen before, and I got to go you know, with little effort, go
Yeah.
romp around on the other side of the world for no reason at all, other than I just wanted to go see this water that I saw was over there, like this blue, clear, perfect water. And I was like, I got to get my ass over there and swim in that water. And I just bought a fucking plane ticket and we went, and it's like, I don't know. You just
It's
gotta.
well, one, the show was called Midnight Gospel,
That's right. Yeah.
the Midnight Gospel, and then two, you're 1,000% right. There's never been a better time to be alive, and yet to see people freak out, be depressed, like all that other stuff, is crazy. I mean, I respect everyone's struggle, I respect everyone's challenge, and I respect everyone's viewpoints. But man, you gotta sit back, look up, and be like, thank God that I'm here right now.
Fuck yeah. Oh, absolutely. Out of sheer luck, you were born
Mm-hmm.
into the most comfortable time,
Yep. And
where
in
with
a country where you can say whatever you want to say,
totally.
in a place where you do have at least an opportunity to get out of whatever situation you're in.
Oh yeah.
Um, we have a long way to go, but you read some of these like biographies and autobiographies from like Alexander the Great, Simon Bolivar, Malcolm X, Frederick Douglass. Right now, I'm reading an autobiography of a comedian from the 1960s. Um, I mean, you just can't complain.
Yeah,
You just can't.
absolutely.
Like, obviously, we're speaking for us here right
Right.
now. Um, because yeah, when you do travel the world, you do realize that there's a lot of struggle out there.
Oh
And
yeah.
even in our neighborhoods and everything else, there's struggle, but it's at a different level.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. For the most part, you know, yeah. Like granted, you do meet some people that grew up in some pretty harsh ways, but usually they're able to parlay it into something great later because it makes you work really hard to get away from that shit. Oh,
well, look, to be honest, I think you're an example of a success story. Um, you've had your challenges, you've had your opportunities that you actually took, right?
oh yeah.
Because that in itself takes courage. And I remember, if I remember right, it was you who was like, "Oh no, it was someone else." But we talked about it last time about respecting those that do what they don't necessarily want to do, right?
Yep.
Like nobody grows up and says, "You know what? I want to go out and pick up trash." You know what? I want to grow up and like clean toilets. Hey, you know what? I want to grow up and be a boring banker at my local branch, right? Nobody says that, but the fact that they're willing to do it in itself speaks volumes, right?
Oh yeah.
And you have to respect that, and you have to admire everything around you, and just, I don't know, it's hard, at least from my perspective. And me, I'm just one of those people that looks at everything in a positive light. It's just hard to look at this world and just be upset, right? um Things are moving, things are happening. Are there struggles? Yes, but damn it, we are on this rock. We are spinning. We are going around this fucking star, and all of us combined are going through the solar system that's also going through something else, right? It's like, it's just
Totally.
beautiful. It's
Look,
beautiful.
the grass is greener where you water it, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, 100%. You can't just sit there and just envy everything else or long for more or whatever, right? You just got to be happy with where you are, and
Yeah.
obviously do the right thing for yourself. And if that means growing a little bit, changing a little bit, chasing something a little bit, then do it, right?
Do it. Totally.
100%.
Oh hell yeah, dude.
Shay, I mean, I didn't know what to expect, but this has been awesome. So I thank
Dude, I'll
you.
do it anytime. Uh yeah, I'll do it anytime. And
The We need to do it more often. I'll tell you that much.
I'm so down. I got a lot to say and I'd be interested in doing this about, just about whenever. So, let me know and let me know, dude, if you decide you're gonna like open a little bar thing. I'll be glad to like be
Oh
a
my
part
God, that would be
be glad
amazing.
glad to be a partner in it, man. I'm always thinking about other little business ideas I could get into, and I learned a lot about investment these last couple years, and but ultimately, like you can only really want to invest in so many ETFs and shit like that. Eventually, you got to have local stuff too. So,
Oh,
bro, if
100%.
you
100%.
decide you're thinking about pulling the trigger on that, let's get into it, bro.
Dude, I mean, that is like the opposite of like what most people say. So I admire that in itself right there.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, dude, great catching up with you, and like, let's get together soon, man. Like, come by the shop, like you said. Like, if you want to come take some pictures, come hang out. We're doing a big party on Friday the 13th over here, like the weekend after next. We're doing a party on the 14th, actually, that Saturday that starts at 6, man. If you feel like coming by, absolutely come by and hang out. Should be
That
a great
sounds
time.
amazing. I'll unfortunately be out of town,
Oh shit, yeah.
but as soon as I get back, I will stop by any day that you tell me to go by. I'll bring my
You're welcome.
camera. I'll do
Yeah,
whatever.
that's awesome, dude. You're
I
welcome
am in the
anytime.
I am in the process of designing my next tattoo. So once I wrap that up, I know where to go. And for everyone else listening, Instagram, what is it again?
Normal tattoos, and the shop is Wild Heart Tattoo Shop.
Everyone should follow it, all three listeners. But no, like honestly, I will stop by as soon as I get back. I'll make sure and stop by. And then once I finish designing my next tattoo, and by the way, everyone, you gave me my first tattoo, which was for me, it was like a game changer.
Sick.
Um, but I will make sure and stop by, get tattooed there. And then
Anytime.
when Large comes back up, when Zach comes back up, we're
Let's
gonna
get
get
together.
matching CEB tattoos. Very
Let's fucking
small, but
go.
they're gonna be matching.
Let's fucking go. I'm into it, dude. Well, cool, man. Great talking to you. And yeah, hit me up soon, bud.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.
You too. Safe travels, but I'll talk to you later, Pablo.
Appreciate it.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.